The 250 silly season has been blown wide open and then immediately shut close over the last couple weeks. Welcome back to Vital MX. I'm your host, Michael Lindsay. And as always, any of our rumor mill or newsbreak features are brought to you by our fine friends at Yoshimura R&D of America. Check them out at yoshimura-rd.com. Yeah, we've been waiting to sit down and do one of these, kind of waiting to see how silly season was going to flesh out, how the rider transfer market would work. And really, the 250s are going to be the focus heading into 2025. That is mostly due to the vast majority of big name 450 riders having locked down 2-year deals last year. So a lot of those are carrying over. Yes, there's some things like Ken Roczen, like Tomac, a couple ones lingering around. We're going to wait to see what happens, and we will do that in a future video in the next week or two. But this is all about the 250s because over half of your factory 250 riders did not have contracts extending past 2024. And where we're going to start is the ones that we know are pretty much wrapped up and done and just aren't announced yet, and then kind of go into more of the rumor mill ones afterwards. And we're going to start with the two biggest teams that have the most movement. That is the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing team and the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team. And we're going to start with the PC team specifically. Coming into this year for 2024, they have Levi Kitchen, Cameron McAdoo, Austin Faulkner, Seth Hamaker, and Maximus Volin. Only one of those riders actually has a contract coming into this year for 2025, and that was Levi Kitchen, because of course he joined PC for this year, and he joined on a 2-year contract, putting him good for 24 and 25. Cameron McAdoo and Seth Hamaker had contracts expiring at the end of 2024. They were both on 2-year deals for 23 and 24 and coming to the end of them, and we were waiting to see what happens. When I was on the Pulp MX show last week as co-host, Mitch Payne was our guest, and after talking to him a lot about what he thought of Seth, he went ahead and dropped the nugget that he had just re-upped Seth and Cameron. Of course, there's not an official PR with this, so we don't have the exact dates, but more than likely we would suspect that one, if not both of those riders got 2-year contracts. We'd say 2-year for sure with Cameron. Seth, 1 or 2 years. We'll have to wait and see for the official announcement, but either way, both of those guys are joining Levi Kitchen in 2025. That leaves Maximus Volin and Austin Faulkner, neither of which have guaranteed contracts for next year. Maximus Volin was on a 1-year deal, and Austin Faulkner was coming to the end of a multi-year contract. We are not actually sure what the length of that originally was when it started. We just know they was supposedly coming to an end this year. Mitch has stated that he still believes in Austin, but did not confirm that he was also locked down. And Volin is oddly quiet from his injury. We've been waiting for him to come back. We know that he's not back on the bike yet. And he is the subject to some of the speculation here at PC. It sounds like he is moving to another team, which we will cover when we get to that team. So who would be replacing him? This falls amongst more the rumor mill category because it is not guaranteed, it is not a signed contract, but the offer supposedly has been made according to a source in one of the camps. That being, Garrett Marchbanks has been offered to return to Pro Circuit from the Club MX team. However, from what we know, Garrett's contract has not allowed him to yet offer his transfer window, meaning he cannot finalize negotiations with another team, and the club team would still have first right of refusal. We'll get to that more later, but we also believe that Garrett may have an offer incoming from another team, but as of right now, sounds like there's an offer on the table from PC. It also sounds like Pro Circuit went after Nate Thrasher and potentially Max Anstie from info we gained this last weekend from one of the other teams is interested in those parties. So again, Levi Kitchen, Cameron McAdoo, and Seth Hamaker good to go for next year. Volin potentially leaving. Faulkner, we're not sure yet. We would lean towards him staying at Pro Circuit as long as an offer is made. However, again, it sounds like there might be one other team interested in him. Last little note for the Pro Circuit squad is what happens with Drew Adams. The Team Green rider does not exactly, from what we understand, have a complete locked-in pro deal. Most of his kids have verbiage in their Team Green deals to get there. But we'll have to wait and see. We wouldn't be surprised if he does another year of SX Futures and then maybe outdoors for the PC squad. Who knows? We really don't know what Drew's situation looks like coming in next year. We would be shocked to see him end up anywhere else as long as he keeps performing, he keeps progressing. We think he will end up at PC. It's just a matter of when it would happen. Moving over to the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing team. They only had 2 riders coming into this year that had contracts guaranteed for next year. That was Daxton Bennick, who had a deal through 2025 as he entered his initial 2-year pro deal with the team this year, and Hayden Deegan, who had a contract also through 2025. And we've also been told there is a 250 option for 2026 if he continues in the 250 class that year. Albeit I would say their game plan is still probably to go 450 in 26. So coming into this, only Dax and Deegan were good to go. They have now been joined by Michael Mosiman. When he was picked up as the team sort of as a fill-in additional add-on mid-season, it was announced as a multi-year contract. So we know that it at least extends through next year, potentially year after. They were apparently impressed by Mosiman's initial speed when he joined the team. Even though he was dealing with back injuries and other issues, they pretty much decided to sign him up right on the spot. So that locks in Star with 3 riders. That leaves a lot of riders on the team with expiring contracts, such as Nate Thrasher, Styles Robertson, Nick Romano, and Jordan Smith. Nate Thrasher has been extended from what we have heard. He will also be back at the Star Racing squad next year, at least for another year, if not another 2-year extension. Again, till the PR comes out, we won't know the exact terms there. So he will be the 4th rider that we know is there. Now, here's the interesting part. From what we are aware, Nick Romano, Jordan Smith, and Styles Robertson are all likely out of the team, potentially Enzo Lopes as well. So who is incoming? The Brit, Max Anstie, has apparently signed a deal within the last couple weeks to join Star Racing for 2 weeks. This comes as no surprise, really, to anyone that pays attention to the situation. The Firepower team that Max races for currently is based out of MTF, which is right down the street from the Star Racing facility. He rides with their guys back and forth at MTF and even at the Star facility. They know what he's capable of. They've seen him up against their guys. They've been interested. Apparently, Max had some verbal interest from other teams, potentially such as PC and even Triumph. Ultimately, Star made him the offer, and he is locked in there for another 2 years. So when will we see Max make the switch? Firepower does not race outdoors, but they race World Supercross and Australian Supercross, where Max is defending titleist in SX2 of both series. So we'll have to see when Max officially makes the switch, but we would doubt that we would see anything official until after those series have run later this year. The other incoming rider, and it sounds like this one only got done within the last week or so, is Pierce Brown from the Red Bull Troy Lee Designs Gas Factory Racing team. We knew that Pierce's deal was up this year. There was initial interest about him going to PC, maybe staying at TLD. He has got himself a deal at Star. He will be there for at least next year. We don't know if his is a multi-year deal, but again, Pierce Brown will be at Star Racing in 2025. Again, this puts them at 6 riders for next year with Deegan, Bennick, Mosiman, Anstie, Brown, and Thrasher all having lockdown deals. What does that mean for Enzo Lopes? We're not sure. One source tells us that the team will give him another shot next year if he can figure out his arm issues, potentially riding for free for one more go at a Supercross only deal. Another source has told us he's not going to have a spot. We'll see. That could put them potentially to 7. The other one that could potentially put them at 7, because we don't have confirmation yet, is what is going on with Gavin Towers. Towers, of course, is on a handshake tryout deal through Futures. It hasn't gone great. A lot of crashes in the mains. They know his speed during the week, so they're probably waiting to see if he can get the job done on race weekends. There's still a chance maybe for him to salvage his spot. We'll have to wait and see. But again, that leaves 3 riders that we know of out. Romano, Smith, and Robertson. We'll get to where they're going. Now on to the team that has the next most amount of movement or the most interest involved with them, including 2 of the riders from the prior 2 teams we just talked about. That is the Triumph Factory Racing squad. Initial reports point to them running a 3, if not even 4-man 250 team next year, really ramping up their operation to race both East and West Coast. Initially, of course, that would have been Evan Ferry and Jalek Swoll taking 2 of those spots going into 25, but with Evan Ferry departing the program, that leaves just Jalek Swoll guaranteed for a 250. Yes, Joey Savacci is there, but the plan is for him to race a 450. So if they go to a 4-man squad, that leaves 3 open spots of that team. One that we can basically stamp at this point, as it seemed to be flying around the pits at the Denver round, is the fact that Jordan Smith has locked down a multi-year deal with Triumph. It may be a 3-year deal, it sounds like, a 2+1. We heard rumors even of potentially a 4-year, but as with anything, it's probably option depending on if he wins a 250 title, into 450, etc. The most common answer was he has a 3-year contract now with Triumph Racing. So Jalek and Jordan sound pretty guaranteed at this point. Now, the incoming is a little bit of a rumor situation that we're not really sure on, but it was getting thrown around as well, is that Maximus Volin might be joining Triumph. Might come as a shock as people saw him just get to PC this year on a 1-year deal. Mitch likes him. Max wanted to be there, but at the same time, we're not really sure with him getting injured again how Kawasaki would feel about re-upping him for multiple years, or if he would just be on another 1-year contract. So at this point, Triumph might be the home if they are offering him a multi-year deal and offering it now. So again, sounds like there is a decent chance Max is ending up there, albeit nothing is guaranteed there. Then what about the 4th and final spot? We could very easily see Styles Robertson end up there. He is, once again, kind of one of the so-called children, if you want to put it, of Scuba and Bobby Hewitt over at that program. It's somebody they've worked with, somebody they care about. We know they had interest in him originally for this program, but it didn't work out with his existing deal at Star Racing. So we think Style has a chance at it. We've also heard that they are potentially interested in making Garrett Marchbanks an offer again. Garrett seems like he might be a little bit sought after this offseason and may have multiple opportunities on his plate. PC, Triumph, staying at club? We'll have to wait and see. Nothing is really guaranteed for Garrett at this point. Again, though, it sounds like Triumph is going to put down some heavy interest in that final spot. There could be other riders that they approach. What about Team Honda HRC? Only 2 spots. What's going on there? Well, Joe Shimoda, of course, joined the team this year and has a 2-year contract, so he is good to go. He will be there in 2025. However, Chance Hymas is coming to the end of his existing contract. His is up at the end of this year, but we will say we don't see a chance of movement there. The team seems happy with Chance. They would like to see him perform more, and they have commented as such, but they have not commented in any way that they are looking to replace him. And also, if you're them, they have multiple years of investment in Chance. They know what he's about. He's down at the Lawrence facility. There's some great synergies there. A lot of the other big names are already getting scooped up. We just don't really see a reason that Honda would go elsewhere. And of course, Chance doesn't want to go anywhere else as well. So that spot is technically not locked in as of yet, but we really don't see it going to anyone else. We think they will maintain their lineup. How about the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Racing Squad? Well, they still have RJ Hampshire through next season as he signed a fresh 2-year deal coming into this year. And he also has options and verbiage for a 450 deal depending on his performance. So it's going to come down to the wire between him and Levi Kitchen, of course. And depending on if RJ is able to pick up that title, he will then defend for 1 year and move to the 450 spot on that same team. But either way, we will see him on a 250 with the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team next year. He will also be joined by Casey Cochran, who is, of course, just turned pro and has a deal at least through next year, maybe even potentially the year after. We don't know his exact deal. We just know that he is locked in. The one on the team that is not is Gillum Ferris. He came into the team this year on a 1-year deal coming off of Star Racing. He did only have 1 year to that deal, so we are not sure on next year. He did impress in his early Supercross rounds, especially given his lack of Supercross experience, but injuries never help. We'll have to wait and see. Cross our fingers that Gillum is able to lock down that spot for another year. What else could happen at Rockstar Energy Husqvarna in the 250s? Again, back to the Coonan thing. One of them could always get a spot there if they come in 2025, albeit we think they would both stay more in Red Bull operations considering their current agreements. And the other potential, this is really out there in the rumor mill area. Again, this is not, I heard this once over the weekend, that there was interest in the team in Austin Forkner, which as long as PC makes him an offer, I think from a loyalty standpoint, of course, we would see Austin stay put, but that depends if Cowie decides he's maybe not worth as much anymore, or if the deal gets drug out, or if they decide to go a different direction, maybe Austin could end up at Husky. Again, that one's a stretch at this point, in my opinion. Going to the last Austrian factory team, we have the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas Factory Racing Team. They have lost their veteran 250 rider in Pierce Brown to Star Racing, but they still have Ryder D. Francesco signed up for next year. He entered the team with a 2-year deal, so he is good for 2025. We also hear that they will likely be signing Luke Davies, the New Zealand Kiwi star that has been performing so excellently in SX Futures this year aboard a Gas amateur support. He is already kind of getting some backdoor attention from those guys. Will Hahn is helping him. The team is definitely keeping a close eye on him. We believe that he will go into some form of a futures to pro deal with them next year, race futures, then maybe race all the East Coast, or futures and outdoors. However, maybe that gets fast-tracked if they don't come up with anyone else. Again, Akunin could always get there. Maybe Luca at KTM, Sasha at Gas. If, again, they choose to come in 25, I feel like I have to keep reiterating that big if there. And then it's still early. It sounds like the Pierce deals just happened in about the last week or so. So they have time to look. There's riders like Styles Robertson, Dick Romano still looking for rides. Kim Ferris, other talent out there that potentially will be looking for a home. So they have time. The musical chairs will stop and somebody will be available for them if they want a little more than just rookies per se on the team. Moving into the last factory levelish operation for an OEM, albeit it's not quite viewed as such, it's kind of on that borderline, is the Barek Suzuki squad. We really don't know a lot about their lineup. The only thing we are sure is that they have Anthony Bourdon locked down for another year after the Frenchman's impressive few rounds for them. Anything else on the team, we'll have to see. Again, they're a team that usually seems to wait it out and see what happens. Going into some of the big name support squads, Club MX. Well, we just said it. The Muck-Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team potentially could lose Garrett Marchbanks. He could potentially say they have first rider refusal. We'll see how that goes. They still have Jeremy Martin with another year or two on his contract, depending what Jeremy decides to do for racing. If he does 250s, 450s, whatever he decides to do, injuries, etc. We'll have to wait and see. And then Cody Schock has locked down a 3-year extension with that team that'll take him all the way through 2027. Phil Nicoletti, of course, is retiring at the end of this year, so he will not be on the team next year as a full-time racer. Maybe a couple rounds here and there. We'll have to see. So what does that leave them for options? Let's say only Germa and Cody are there. They have 2 spots. If Garrett were to depart in Phil's retirement, what could they do? Well, they do have Jet Reynolds still in the wings, still trying to see if he can put it together and prove that he is worthy of an extension or further rides with them in the future. They also have Mark Phineas in the wings racing SX Futures as chomping at the bit to go full pro with the team, and we think we will see him at different points during outdoors this year, so Phineas could grab a spot. And again, Romano Styles, there are people floating around that are looking for spots that may not get them coming off a factory level operation that could end up at club. Another team that also could capitalize on riders sort of falling off the factory bandwagon is the Firepower Honda team. They're losing both the riders, with Dean Wilson retiring in the 450 class and Max Anstie moving on. However, we really don't know what that team's going to do. There are rumors about Flying Firepower maybe not re-upping for next year. They've lost their star riders. We just don't know. There's everything from them having a new title sponsor rumors to them looking at certain riders that we've named off in here that might be available to they may not be around next year. That one is a major wait and see for us until there is announcements with riders and everything locked in. Big wait and see with the Firepower Honda squad. There's too much speculation to go around for teams such as AO, KTM, your Phoenix Hondas, your teams of that caliber. So those are the last ones that are going to trickle out later in silly season. We've knocked out pretty much the factory operations here and the biggest support level teams. Not to also mention, I did forget to mention the MCR Honda squad. We don't know exactly what they're doing between World Supercross, US, 250s, 450s. Who knows what they're going to do? We expect to see them back in some shape or form next year, but really unknown again what that level of team would do. So if you enjoyed this Rumor Mill feature, give us a like, thumbs up, subscribe. But we're also interested, what do you think of some of the locked in deals here, some of the rumored ones? Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Is there anything you'd still like to see happen? Throw it in the comments section below. Let's discuss. And as always, thanks for watching, and make sure you stay tuned to VitalMX.com.